Hello everybody, peace, bismillah. Today I'm going to be talking about a Netflix series actually, and I'm going to be doing a little review, and I'm going to start doing reviews on things like hopefully books and cases and things, and I'm just a bit of a nerd sometimes, so I would like to share it with you, and hopefully you can benefit too and read them for yourself.
From beautiful seas to flourishing legacies.
This series was something called Adolescence. I don't know if you've heard of it. It was a story of a young boy, I think he's about 12 years old, and he had committed a crime. It was a knife crime against a girl, and there was a lot of themes that were going on, and the whole story in itself was just his journey, you know, his arrest and psychological kind of conversation that happened with him, and so many other things as well. So I was having a conversation with someone about this, and I wasn't going to make an episode on this, but I thought maybe it'd be a good reason to. Now, I want to preface that, you know, the way I'm going to be doing reviews for movies and books and things like that, and I'm going to be doing it in a way that hopefully isn't so like organized in a way, you know, points here, points there, and all of that stuff. I just want to kind of give you a bit of insight. I do want to let you know that there are certain, like, there was bad language used, there was certain depictions which hinted at things which are, you know, things that you don't really want to watch, especially if you're a practicing Muslim, and this is hopefully a review for practicing Muslims and non-Muslims alike. But there is actually a website, I'm not sure what the name is, but there is a website where you can actually filter all of that stuff out, which is amazing. I have not watched Game of Thrones. I've heard good things about it, and I've heard very bad things about it, and I kind of went with the bad things because I just don't want to go there. But the person who like really wanted me to watch it, they told me about this website and they said they want to do it, and I still haven't watched it. I don't know. But the point, I'm going completely off topic. This movie, right? So this movie is about a young boy, and he is part of something called the incel community, right? Probably heard of that. So I really don't know how they define it right now, but the point is that he's going towards this very kind of patriarchal, sees women in a very negative way, and he's like shouts, and he's a little bit psychopathic, honestly. The way he does things is a little creepy. I don't want to, you know, spoil the movie or the show for you at all. It was very insightful, it was very powerful. Now there was just one thing which I think was inaccurate about the depiction, even though the story, in my opinion, was told beautifully. I thought it was very artistic how they filmed things in a way that you actually felt like you were there. The people felt very human, and just the conversations just felt very raw and very real, and I really liked that, minus the other stuff. Like, you can, like I said, you can filter all that stuff out, but a lot of people who watched that afterwards, they had this fear of like, oh my gosh, is my child going to be a failure? Like, not failure as in, you know, not good enough, but a failure as in like this really, really dangerous person, right? Maybe failure was the wrong word. I take the word failure back, right? Don't use it against me. But what if, you know, my child is like this, and, you know, they are hopeless, right? And a lot of parents who I spoke to about this, they felt very hopeless. That was the main feeling that was going on. It's like, I feel hopeless. Like, what can I do? Now, that's where the inaccuracy that I felt about this whole show was, right? There was this final episode where it showed it from the parents' point of view, and it was kind of insinuated that the parents couldn't really do anything. They just didn't know what to do different, apart from maybe not letting their son be in his room all night on his laptop, right? And that didn't sit right with me, to be honest. Because a lot of the time now, now we're going to talk about more like the accurate depictions, and what I would have felt was more accurate. And of course, I'm talking about this because it's to do with what I love to talk about, which is trauma. I also love to coach people about it, make programs and all that good stuff. All that information is under this video. Check it out. So basically, like, this whole thing about, like, you know, it's depicted that the parents had no control. However, when a child, you begin to see certain behaviors in them, especially at an age like 12 or 13, extreme behaviors, their rage, their views, yeah, the way that they communicate with people, the way they react to their triggers, right? A lot of the time is because of something developmental. Something has happened in their childhood that has led them to be conditioned in this way, right? Because our childhood conditions us to be in whichever way, and it's good conditioning sometimes it's not so good, right? So my thing was, right, they made out this boy to have like feelings and being so like emotional and doing all of these things. However, what I saw was the only way it would make sense for these parents not to have had a hand in what he became was him being sociopathic. And a sociopath is someone who is born with a mental condition or a disorder. They are born with it, and they basically have these tendencies where it's very difficult for them to feel feelings, and the way that they get their kind of hit and their high is through, and correct me if I'm wrong, please drop a comment if you know more about this than I do, and the way that they get it is through extreme kind of like behaviors of hurting other people sometimes, and they get kind of like, that gives them like the feeling, right? So for me, it was kind of like depicted that he was this sweet little boy after a little while, and then he got into a bad crowd and all of these things happened and went to an extreme. But just like the third episode, I think it was, where he was interviewing the psychologist, that wasn't something that comes from someone who is just gone the wrong direction. That is something that, for me, in my opinion, I could be wrong, that for me was like a developmental issue. That was complex PTSD. For someone to go that far, to go to that violent route, for them to be kind of inclined towards a certain community who are dangerous and who hate women, then there is some kind of history in that. There's something that happened to that child when they were young, Allahu Alam what that is, right? So I just want, hopefully maybe this video is more to give you hope that if you're a parent who feels hopeless, that, no matter what you do, you have no control of how your child is going to be. The most important thing for any child, you can just like take this one rule and all of the kind of strategies that you've been taught, because this is what I do. I had all these strategies with my children. Either you do this or you do that. So it's like the illusion of choice, right? When you do this, you're going to do this. And I still use these things, right? But the core thing which affects the child's development, your child's development, is your attachment to that child. Your attachment to that child. And what I mean by that is a healthy attachment, not the hovering parent who is always needing to know what the child is doing, not giving them any freedom, not the authoritative parent who is like trying to control everything, like I said with the child, not the one who is like detached and completely like, go do what you want, you can go out until 9 p.m, you're 5 years old. Not that kind of parent, right? But it's the kind of parent who is gives the child their space, but also is like a guide for them and a lead for them, and they teach them with love, right? And they see them. It's seeing the child, listening to the child when they speak, seeing that maybe something isn't right. You might have like a child who is a little bit more demanding of certain things, of your attention in certain things. They might be highly sensitive, your child. They might have something else that they are struggling with. But the key always is your attachment with that child, right? So for that, like bringing it back to that, whole series, however wonderfully it was done, however like deeply the characters were studied, which I thought was pretty intriguing. At the same time, there is hope, and the lack of attachment to their parent is what is the biggest factor in a child being difficult or going a certain direction in their life. And I'm actually going to be doing a program all about parental abuse, familial abuse, and how to deal with it in a way that you can still be a devout Muslim and still give the rights where they are due without losing the rights that you give to yourself, that you are so worthy of and we have been gifted with by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I'm going to be doing a course on that. I'm not sure if the program's already been launched, but anything that I have going on is underneath this video. Check it out. I would love to hear from you. Have you seen Adolescence? What did you think about it? Were you kind of like amazed or shocked, or what was it? It wasn't like a positive kind of shock. It didn't make you walk away feeling hopeful. It did not. But it kind of made me walk away feeling thoughtful. And sometimes those are the most kind of like intriguing things for me to watch, because sometimes, things don't happen to end in hope. The hope is what we take from it and what we can give into our own lives as well. And there is always hope when it comes to you trying to do the right thing by your children, by our children, and by ourselves as well. And I hope this video has been beneficial for you. I love to hear from you. Have a beautiful and blessed day, everyone. Peace.